Hi guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to the desktop for another retro RPG. And this week I would like to present this, D6 Space by West End Games. Now this was actually the third iteration of the West End Games company. The one I've talked about so often in the past, which did Paranoia and the Star Wars Roleplaying Game and many other great games, had gone out of business at the end of the 90s. They'd been owned by a shoe import company, and when it ran into financial problems, then West End Games sold off. And it was bought up by a French company, I believe they were called Yeti, and they were the publishers of the Metabarons graphic novels. So West End Games was used to bring out a D6-based version of the Metabarons role-playing game. And unfortunately, they'd lost a bunch of their other licenses. The Star Wars license went back to Lucasfilm, and then went on to Wizards of the Coast for the D20 version of Star Wars. And the Paranoia licenses went back to its original publishers, and the Indiana Jones licenses, etc., went back to various companies. And what West End Games was left with was D6, basically the rule set itself, and a game called Torg, which I haven't covered yet, but I'll get around to sometime. Now, this version of the company only lasted a few years, and in 2003 it was sold on to a man called Eric Gibson, who ran West End Games for a number of years after that. And one of the things he did was bring out these generic rulebooks. So he brought out D6 Fantasy, D6 Adventure, and D6 Space, which were the D6 rule system, but far more generic. So Fantasy obviously is just a standard fantasy role-playing game. Adventure covers your sort of Call of Cthulhu settings, but also your Indiana Jones and all that. And D6 Space is basically Star Wars with the numbers filed off. It's the Star Wars role-playing game, but made a bit generic. There's some new stuff in it. The space ship rules are slightly different. The Force has been changed to Metaphysics or something like that. But let's have a look at the back of the book. D6 Space. My dearest heart, I'm sorry I haven't written you sooner. I had my pick of bounty jobs this season. I've only now had some spare time as I make my way to a new system. To let you know the type of events I've been up against, at our first interstellar switch point, pirates attacked us. Though a metaphysicist might have foreseen the danger, we didn't have one on board. Fortunately, a well-placed shot from our cybernetically enhanced weapons officer efficiently finished the would-be thieves. We only needed a few minor repairs to get us on our way. We made it to our destination without further incident, and our cyber Psy is bringing in the ship now. You and I will have to arrange to meet as soon as I've found more out about the next assignment. I could be heading to a megacorp-controlled planet or a frontier world. I'll let you know. Yours with love. P.S. Though you can't join me on my bounty hunting, I'm sending along a game that could help you get an idea of what I do. This book combines the best of 15 years of D6 system design, tailored to the science fiction genre. It covers all the basics for the D6 system with your favorite settings. 3 different character creation methods, customizing pre-constructed templates, using defined dice distribution limits, and distributing a pool of points. Allow each player to spend as much or as little time making a character while being compatible with the method other players chose. Over 80 character options, disadvantages, advantages, and special abilities, each with numerous variations, as well as a sampling of generic alien packages, allowing players to further customize their characters. You have the option of relying on body points or wound points damage system, both equally interchangeable with a single combat system. You get quick rules for cybernetics, ship travel, ship design, and metaphysics, a form of psionic reality manipulation. Dozens of generic equipment and character examples offer starting points for adding your own science fiction tech, aliens, and denizens to your adventures. You get to decide on the next level of complexity, with essential rules separated from these optional rules. The accessible format includes an introduction to using the book and the system, a solo adventure to test out the rules, and prefaces to each chapter that can help you locate the information you need. Also look for D6 Fantasy Rulebook and D6 Adventure Rulebook, which cover attributes, skills, equipment, and character templates tailored to their specific genres, while using a game engine that's completely compatible with D6 Space. One Die, Infinite Possibilities. And it's got the old West End Game site, 2004 Purgatory Publishing, which was Eric Gibson's company, all rights reserved, West End Games. And that's it, really. This is an updated rule set using a lot of the stuff from, I'm guessing, Meta Barons, but mainly sort of Star Wars Roleplaying Game, the D6 system. And it's taken up to a more modern version, because obviously the standard version of Star Wars, the second edition revised and expanded rulebook, was about 10 years old at this point. And this is a very nice book. I wish it had come out as Star Wars. I would really like to have had the availability of advantages and disadvantages, but let's start leafing through. So we can see we're early 2000s here, desktop publishing has started, and it's a nice looking book. It's very readable, it's very clear, there's not over cluttered backgrounds and things. I like it. It doesn't even use stupid fonts for headings. This is just very readable. And it's laid out nicely as well. I've gone over a bunch of role-playing games in the last few months, and older games really do seem to be cluttered up and difficult to pick out exactly how things work. But this is far more easy to find exactly what rule you're looking for. So we'll look down the character sheet here, and we can see we've got agility, strength, knowledge, mechanical, perception, and technical, and metaphysics down here. Fate points and character points. So if you've played the D6 version of Star Wars, these look very, very familiar. In Star Wars, it's dexterity, not agility, but strength, knowledge, mechanical, perception, and technical are all the same. Metaphysics would have been your force skills. Your fate points would have been your force points. We've got the wound levels here, the standard standard wound levels. So stunned, wounded, severely wounded, incapacitated, mortally wounded, and dead. And body points range. So body points are a kind of hit points that are introduced in this version of the game. Now we've got severely wounded instead of wounded twice. But generally, this looks very, very similar to Star Wars. It's very compatible. You've got your standard dice codes and pips. And we continue through, and we've got to choose your own adventure. Now, before you decide what to do, let's find out what goes first. Go to 12, and it takes you through the rules. Just on 2 pages. It's a very quick, very simple options just to get the idea of the rules. We've got key terms here, character basics. So going through your character creation point pool, your attributes, your skills, focus skills. We're on to character options here. So we've got advantages and disadvantages. Now you can choose to have an Achilles heel. Now perhaps you've got an allergy or your environmental incompatibility. Maybe you've got a rot. Character loses parts of his body periodically due to rotting, such as limbs. Bad luck. Perhaps you're old. You've got burnout. And often these have 2 or more levels. So we've got bad luck at various levels. So you can choose how much bad luck you have. We've got age, so you can be in middle age or old age. We've got a job where you're devoted to something. How much debt you're in. Lots and lots of options here. Definitely suited to Star Wars. You know, you can imagine Han Solo starting off with debt to Jabba the Hutt, where he's getting hunted down for things he's done. What we got here? Prejudice. You're part of a minority group. You've got quirks. Reduced attribute. Contacts. Just so much which adds a lot of flexibility to the character. Something that D6 did kind of lack. Although I love the D6 rules, how simple and fast they are, in character creation they do lead to a very generic character, and while the player can come up with tons and tons of background, there's not a lot to differ them on the character sheet. Natural armor, shape-shifting abilities, ventriloquism, water breathing, youthful appearance, aliens and human offshoots. So, different types. You've got your dog people, your cat people, insect people, reptile people, and rules how to do it. Cybernetics, how to install them and different things you can get, upgrade slots in your hand. replacement organs, a tail, a neural jack, just little cool additions to your character. Improving characters, so improving your strength damage, your attributes, changing body points. The game basics of rolling dice, how the wild die works. Actions that take time. Just very, very similar to the Star Wars game and earlier D6 games, just laid out very nicely. We've got movement here, space travel, in-system travel and combat, space navigation modifiers. This is all very, very similar to Star Wars. Combat, and then the damage section. Healing, how to get rid of damage. Combat options, so you can lay things out. You know, burst fire on single fire as multi-actions. Additional combat options, called shots. Lots and lots of rules which were added to the Star Wars game in supplements and source books, but were never part of the core rules. Example skill difficulties. And the example skill descriptions. So, lifting things, languages, stamina. And then we're on to metaphysics. So, different abilities you can have, mental and psychic abilities. Whether you heal things, ignore pain, telekinesis. Do these sound like Star Wars abilities to you? They definitely do to me. We've got equipment. So gear, from binoculars to armor, up to firearms and weapons. A heavy machine gun, 5 dice plus 1. A heavy submachine gun, 5 dice plus 2. So the damages are a bit up. Blaster rifle, 7 dice. Basic ship design, how airships are created, their space speeds, their atmospheric speeds, how many dice of hull and how much that costs, because this is a very generic system used for designing everything you want to put into your game world. And then we're on to the Games Master tips. How to write an adventure, just basic role-playing stuff, giving you an idea how to make believable characters, create exciting locales, making sure your characters, your players have a personal stake in the adventure. Generic characters and animals. And we've got a few character sheets at the back here where they've had their attributes assigned but no skills. And I think we're getting very close to the back now. Blank character sheet and templates. Reference sheets so you can look up the rules quickly. Die code simplifications, and an index, which is actually a very accurate one. There were a lot of problems in early days of desktop publishing where indices were manually made. So when things got added into the book, the index would go wrong, and it wasn't always guaranteed to be fixed before publication. So indices in old role-playing games tended to be a bit terrible. Anyway, that is D6 Space. It's a lovely version of the updated D6 rules. Very useful if you play Star Wars D6 version, so you can have a look and pick and choose. I've ran a campaign using the body points from D6 Space before, because the health levels I didn't like too much at that point, although I've grown back into loving them very much now. But it's a very handy book for going through and picking bits out. Although, obviously, there's no background to itself, it's just a rule system. It's a very nice rule system, and the D6 system is incredibly fast and easy to play, which I like. I like my rules to get out of the way of the game and let me get on with telling a story and interacting with my players. Anyway, I think I've whittled on for far too long about a book which is not much in it except rules. So thank you very, very much for watching, as always. Please like and subscribe, because that will do me an enormous favour in helping me out with the Google algorithm. But, as always, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.